and then I'll bleed this in.
building.
That's awesome. When was the last time that
Yeah,
you
I'm
competed?
competing 35 years ago.
Oh, that's so cool. Congratulations. That's so awesome.
Yeah. So I'm doing masters figure.
Nice. Out in
Yeah.
California? Is it local or is it
Yeah, it's a local show. It's in San Diego, and this is a pre-qualifier for the USA Masters.
Oh, wow. What
So
made
I'm
you
gonna
after this time? What is it something you've been thinking about doing for a while, or was it in the
Okay,
last
wait.
few
Are
years
we
you're
are
like, "You
we
know
now
what?
recording?
Yes, yes, we are recording."
Beautiful. All right, I was gonna say.
Yes.
Um, believe it or not, I never thought about competing
Really?
when I was done, and then I hooked up with the company, and we had a photo shoot, video shoot in Austin, Texas, and one of the girls was like 3 weeks out from her show that she was competing, doing figure, and she was like, I don't know. I think Josie is probably like 25 years old. And I looked at her and I'm like, oh my God, that's what my body used to look like when I was 25. And she literally inspired me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm I'm not that far off. You know what I mean? Because I've
Yeah.
never stopped training, constantly, consistently trained, eating good. My body fat always stayed around 18%. And I'm like, why not? Let's just do
Yeah.
this. And so I
Wow.
picked I hired a coach, and one of the coaches is Wendy Fortino's husband, and she's a pro figure. And we've been working together for about 3 months, and I'm 3 days away. And I've been
Wow.
prepping for 3 months for this show.
That is awesome.
It's
That's so
crazy.
cool, especially when you get back on the horse, so to speak. It's something you haven't done so long and something you didn't think
Yeah,
about. And just in
yeah.
a instant, something can motivate you to get back into that mode, you know?
But yeah, if you go to my Instagram, you can see like it's insane. Like the photos, because I'm like, I'm constantly doing updates and everything.
Yeah.
And at my age, the way that I look, I know that I can beat some of the like 30 and 40-year-olds like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's gonna be the fun part.
Totally. And again, this is like, you don't look like you age. Like, I rewatched the Muscles of Mayhem, and when you think back of the 90s, I don't know if it's the look of the way things looked on film in the 90s, but you look the same, right? You have to feel that when you look in the mirror now?
Well, I look the same because I found the fountain of youth. I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
joking. But actually, to be quite honest with you, I contribute a lot of my anti-aging to just never stopping. I never quit training. I've
Yeah,
always ate good. I just consistently kept moving and kept going and kept, I held the muscle. Let's put it that way.
yeah, yeah,
And muscle is anti-aging. I mean, it really is. No matter how you slice or dice it, the more muscle you have, it is anti-aging. It's all about your mitochondria and your cells reproducing, and actually that growth hormone and your hormones all working together. And it's true. And
yeah,
that's the way it works.
yeah, no, that's definitely, I'm sure it is. So when did working out begin for you? At what age did you find that? Was it at
Um,
school or at home?
Honestly, it was more about, when I got out of high school. I played sports all through high school, volleyball, basketball. I was always a jock and athlete. And then when I got out of high school, I was like, "Oh my god, I what am I gonna do?" Because I wasn't playing, team sports.
Yeah,
And so, I found myself going, like, to the gym at lunchtime and just kinda like, working out a little bit. And I don't know, somebody, in one of the gyms, his name was Andy. He was so funny. He goes, "You have the genetics to do bodybuilding." And I went, "What?" He goes, "Oh, yeah." He goes, "Your shoulders, little waist, little hips." He goes, "Have you thought about it?" I said, "No." And he said, "Let's try it." And all of a sudden, I kinda did my first show when I was like, I don't know, 25, and
wow,
just kinda got hooked. I wanted to go pro back then. So, this would be kind of cool. It would be a full circle because I
totally.
didn't get my pro card, because when I went to the nationals, after the nationals, I went to Gladiators. and I got the
Yeah.
Gladiators. So after Gladiators, I was like, I don't gotta diet and do that shit
Yeah.
anymore. I got this.
Yeah, yeah.
So it would be kind of cool to get a full circle and go into the Masters USA and win my division and get my pro card. That would just
Yeah.
be like, because I'm competing against women my age,
Yeah.
So I mean, I kind of the way I feel is if there's women out there that are over 60 and they can beat me, kudos to you. That's awesome
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
that means
yeah,
you
right?
trained harder than I did.
That's nuts. So what were you doing, like, say, like, 25, what were you doing work-wise? Did you go away to college, stay local, or did you go right into the workforce?
Didn't get a chance to go to college. Parents weren't serious about it. My grades
I
weren't
feel you.
good. All I wanted to play is sports, the
Yep.
whole thing. And unfortunately, I wasn't that golden child that got sent away to college.
Yeah.
I actually started working right out of high school, man. Just
Me too. I did the
wherever
same
I
thing.
could.
My parents are like, "Okay, we have to get a bigger house because your sister's having a kid, so you're gonna start pitching in." And my head, I'm like, I'm 18. None of my friends are doing this." So yeah, no, I
Yeah.
did a similar thing. I was doing sales at 18, trying to go to county college, playing golf there, which is all I did. I didn't go to school. I just played golf for free.
Now, see, that's where I actually wish that I had picked up golf when I was in high school. I didn't pick
Yeah,
up golf until I was like 40, and
yeah.
I got addicted to it at 40. And I was just like, the way my mind works, it's so funny. It's like go big or go home. That's just
Hmm.
who I am. And so when I picked up golf, I played for like 10 years. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to compete. I'm going to go out and start doing golf tournaments and I want to do the Masters Tour. And then I went, oh, this is really hard. you know? I mean, my handicap was decent. I think I got down to, what did I get down to? I think I got down to like a 15 handicap
That's
for a
good.
while. Wasn't
Yeah,
bad, but then I
yeah.
had those, obviously the bad days and I was like, that's it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But it is kind of
You know how that
similar
is.
to building in the sense of it is something you could work on by yourself. That's why I always liked it as a kid because it's not like, it's not it's hard to get a full, "Hey, let's go play baseball." Unless you're doing little league, you can do that, but golf was always cool because there's no one else. You just be like,
Yeah,
"All
it's
right,
you and the
I'm gonna
ball.
go play for a little bit," you know?
Mhm. That's kinda cool.
Yeah, so that's pretty wild. So 25, you go do that show, and then Gladiators, that was somebody spotted you, or did you know how did that
No,
all happen?
actually, that wasn't my destiny and my calling, as a matter of fact. I watched the show, and because of bodybuilding,
Yeah.
and Ray Hollett was a bodybuilder, and I saw her at the gym, and I was like, "Oh, okay." You know, um, and then all of a sudden, I turned on the television, I saw her on TV on the Gladiators, and I was like, "Whoa, what's this?" I was like, "I could That's kinda stupid, but I can do that." You
Yeah.
know? And, I actually found out where the tryouts were, and I went and tried out myself, and I competed against about 50 other girls to get that
Wow.
job. Yeah, they went from 50 to 25 to 10 to 5 to 2.
Wow. So did you have to have an agent, or was it just, like, an open call and you just went?
No. Back then, I mean, people had agents and everything, and and the show was recruiting different people, NFL. It's funny because the guys that are on our team, a lot of them played NFL football,
Yeah.
but they didn't play
Yep.
NFL football.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? They
yeah,
were on
yeah,
the
yeah.
roster.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I wasn't fortunate enough to have that agent and, "Hey, Lori, guess what? You got a call."
Yeah.
No, I had to seek them out and go try out and everything,
Yeah, because
I wasn't
it
even
was
in the
sorta
industry.
different. It was something that, and I think you probably obviously you lived it and you went through it. It was like what's fascinating was the end of the documentary when you reconnected with everybody and you talked about like, oh, if there was TikTok back then, which is totally true. You guys would have been, huge because of
Huge.
TikTok. But I think because of how unique it was and how just like cross platform, like how many shows that just yourself appeared on as Ice, and those were just the TV shows, not like any
Mhm.
commercials or anything. It's pretty wild. It was like, even if you didn't watch it, which most people did, but even if you didn't watch it, you knew what it was. And it was very rare for shows to have that. If somebody said, "Hey, Doug, did you ever see a certain show?" I'd be like, I never saw it. But you knew Gladiators. It's like, oh yeah, on Ellen or on Urkel on
Mhm.
Family Matters. It was pretty wild how quick
I
that
know, and I
happened.
did a yeah, even like Who's the Boss? They
That's
put
what I
us
was
on a
gonna
lot
ask
of
about, because
guest.
that was the first one that was on your credits. I'm sure there's probably
Yeah.
maybe uncredited ones, but that was like a few years after you're on it. And did you have people reaching out before that to be like, "Hey, do you wanna try to do this?" Or was it all, like, connected through the show?
It was the first 2 years was all connected t through the show. I mean, we couldn't put our uniform on and go do anything without their approval.
Oh, okay.
So, a lot of the guest starring appearances for television show, they actually went through Samuel Goldwyn, and they said, "Okay, we want this gladiator and this gladiator."
Okay.
And we got paid scale, whatever it might be at that point in
Yeah.
time. But that was, like, the first year or 2 years, and then pretty much after that, it was more like I got an agent. And
Yeah.
then I started going out on my own auditions, and stuff like that. But still, even if they wanted us in our uniform, they still had to go through MGM.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It
I wasn't planning on going into the industry at all.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's like you see this thing like, "Oh, I'd love to do that," but then you see like what it's kinda, because it took what wrestling, I guess, sort of had, but then gave that full real aspect of it. Is you had these guys, it was almost like the movie Running Man, the Schwarzenegger movie, and then it brought this like wild element into it, like this raucous crowd, and it was just you rooted for you guys, which was like a
Yeah,
rare thing. Usually in a game show, it's like you're rooting for the people that can win money. When you were watching that show, it was like, all right, get him! Like that's the
yeah, I
best part
know.
about that show.
It was a lot of fun, man. It was so
Oh, I'm
crazy
sure.
and fun, and I'm so glad we got to do that documentary. You know,
Yeah.
um, because it really I'm sorry about my chihuahua.
No, it's okay.
I've got 3 dogs. Yeah, but April, oh, thank you. It's feeding time right now, and so the little one kinda goes a little
They're
nuts, but she's gonna
speaking.
hold on to her. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
exactly. Um, I'm sorry, what was I saying again?
We were kind of talking about just how big the show was at the time in the documentary. You were happy that you
God,
guys were
yeah,
able
the
to do that.
and it was so cool about the documentary because of the fact that it really got to show people behind the scenes and what we went
Yeah.
through and, how they treated us and how we weren't paid, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, we got paid, but it was just such shit money. And then
Yeah.
even today, 35, 38 years later, I'm still getting cease and desist letters. Can't use your name. Can't do this. Can't do.
Oh,
I'm like, oh my God, let me eat. you
yeah.
know, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the
But
saddest thing about it, and it's such like, when it's like, "Oh, yeah, it's a business." Like, the one part of the documentary when you guys wanted to go in and be like, "Hey, we wanna get a percentage of all," it's crazy, like I mentioned before, that just on TV alone, it's like, even if you didn't watch Gladiators, you knew them, but it was like on cereal box, there was all the
yeah.
toys, a video game, so
Oh
it's
my
like,
God,
it's
things
a
come out of the
shame.
woodwork.
It's
Yeah.
crazy, right? When you think about it, it's like, we're not getting somebody's getting that. Someone,
Oh,
right?
they got very
Oh, I'm
wealthy on it.
sure.
Very
Yeah.
wealthy. And that's fine. Let them get wealthy, that's fine. But 35, 38 years later, are you
I know.
kidding me? I
Yeah.
mean, they this right here, that nice little chilling with ice right there,
Yeah.
they're trying to take my trademark away from me.
That's
I'm
insane.
not even joking. I'm like, "Why what how does that bother you?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, that's my own podcast. Nope, we don't want you using
Yeah.
the name. It's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
you know?
And it kinda
It
killed them. Obviously, like, a lot of people, if you haven't watched the documentary, it's on Netflix. I think it's terrible because you guys brought to light, like, "Hey, this is not fair," and then they fire you guys,
Yeah,
and then it's almost like at that point is when they thought like, "Oh my god," obviously, because it's not like people are buying just an American Gladiator toy, they're playing a game because of the people that they love to watch on the show, and when they
yes,
made that turn of being like, "We're gonna focus only on the contestants," it kinda like the show swallowed itself because it was
it
like,
did.
"Okay."
It did.
we're here to watch these
Well,
people and you barely see them and
it's just like in the documentary, I think somebody said they tried to convince us that the show was the star, not
yeah,
the players. And
yeah.
it's like, and I'm very, very interested to see how it's going to go. But they just got done filming in France and they're rebooting and they're coming out on Prime, I think in spring.
Wow.
So, yeah, so American Gladiators will be back on Prime in spring of 2026.
Is there
So,
anyone
I'm
involved from the
absolutely
original?
not. No,
Really?
they didn't want a thing, which is
That's
stupid on their
crazy.
part, I think, because
Yeah.
it would've it would've bridged the gap. Here this is where
Mhm.
it's kinda like, even from a marketing business standpoint, but see, they're so it's all about the show still. I mean, and I get it,
Yeah.
it's a business, and I get it, and I understand that, but at the same time, if we had a huge fan base back then,
Yeah.
okay, those people are my age and maybe a little older or maybe a little younger, but those people had kids.
Mhm.
And those kids now have kids. And those are the ones that are going to be watching the show. So the grandparents, I hate to say, but in my
Yeah.
age range, they're going to be like, oh my God, Susie, you've got to watch this show.
Yeah.
We watched this when we were kids and it was amazing. You got to check
Yep.
this out. And that's one of the originals right there. You know what I'm saying? So that would have like
Yep.
bridged the gap. But nope, nothing. They're like,
They
nope,
do it
don't
in the
want anything
film
to do with you.
industry and TV, like, they'll do what's called, like, a requel. They'll have, like, "Alright, this movie is gonna be, like, 95% about younger characters, but we're gonna have, like, the few ones, like the screams in those movies to be able to keep everything going, but inject new blood." It would be great to have, correspondence, however you're gonna do it, just to
Anything.
have that. Did they do
Then
that with
that's
the
what we
Hogan
want.
one? Did the Hogan one have
No.
anyone?
Again, same
Either?
thing. They didn't want
Ugh.
anything to do with us. This all comes down to that one man.
Yeah, I know, that's
Johnny
crazy.
Ferraro can't stand us,
Ugh.
and he doesn't want anything to do with us, and he does have a big say so when it comes to the show because he has a trademark. It was his show, it was his name. So
Yeah.
he does have some of that, and, that's it's very unfortunate, but it's just the way it is.
Yeah. No,
I
but like you
know.
said, at least you look back, especially I'm sure you did that beforehand, but the documentary gives some sort of closure. You guys be able to talk about it, get together, which is cool to see how
Yeah,
much fun you guys were having on the road. Like, I think the fact that man, I forget, Gemini, what he said growing up in like Yakima, Washington, and then being at Madison Square Garden and you have like 200 cameras flashing at you. That is just so crazy how big it got like so quick. It was just everywhere. And then just looking at your credits, just every year you're either on a
yeah.
TV show as Ice or you're in a film. So did the acting, was that something that you thought about? Like, let's say like Renegade, like being on Renegade. Was that something that you were like, I want to try that? Or they reached out to you
Well,
because
it's kinda like once you're in the industry,
yeah.
once you actually do have a television show of some sort, it is that much easier to transition into, any type of guest starring roles and acting and drama and stuff like that. So, again, that's when I went out and got my agent and I started going out on auditions. And I always kinda had, the acting bug, a little bit, but yet I was very realistic that I wasn't going to be this huge actor. I just don't have the ability, and I never really honed in on my craft as far as acting, and it is a craft. It's a skill, and so I just I was I don't wanna say I was happy with it, but yet I was pretty content with doing, like, the guest starring roles here and there. Um, and even to, let's say, what was COVID? 4 or 5 years ago? 4 years ago?
Yeah.
I can't even know. Okay.
Yeah. It's 5 years.
So even then, like in 2000 it was 2020, a couple years before that, I went, "Okay, I'm gonna get back into it again." So I started doing acting classes and started going again, and, I got an agent, because since you're in the industry, you can usually get an agent afterwards, it's easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I started going out on auditions, and I actually booked, like, coolest show ever. And, that was, the ladies of, wrestling. What was that? That was,
Oh, cool. You were
Glow.
on Glow? You were on Glow?
No. I wasn't. Here's the thing. I
Oh,
auditioned for it. I got it. I got the part in Glow, and it was a reoccurring role. Boom. 2 weeks later, COVID hit.
oh.
Shut down the entire industry, as you know. And so
Oh,
I
and
was
then
waiting and
was the
waiting and
show done
waiting.
after that? So that was, like, season 3?
They were filming their last season, and
Oh,
I was gonna be in their last season as a reoccurring role. And I was like, and my agent's like, "Okay, don't worry about it. Maybe it'll only be like a month." You know how that went. Maybe it'll be a
yeah.
month or 2 months, and, maybe it'll open back up and it'll be fine. And then when the industry went to every single person on set had to get tested over and over every single week,
Yeah.
they said the cast was too big and they had to cut the show. So they just cut the show. And I was just like, no, because
Oh,
that was like, it was a perfect position. It was a perfect part for me.
wow, were you gonna
And
be, like, the villain? Were you gonna be a villain-ish character?
not necessarily. I can't even remember now what the fucking role was.
Such a great cast. Mark
Oh
Maron was
my
great in it.
God.
Such a fun
I was
show.
so excited to work with those
Yeah.
actors too.
Oh,
It's Mark and everybody. Actually, just interesting enough, I just booked. Okay, first time in 5 years. A guest starring role on a movie. It's not a blockbuster. It's a lower budget, but that's cool.
yeah.
Um, and I go on set on Monday, so I film for 5 days, and it's called What
Wow.
Now? So that's
So you have
kind
a
of cool. I'm excited about
competition,
that.
and then you get back into acting the next 2 days later?
Yeah, it's crazy. So my
You're busy.
competition is Saturday.
Yeah.
I take Sunday off. I'm on set on Monday. I have a photo shoot on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday, Thursday, I'm on set. Friday morning, I take off for Tennessee until the 4th. Come back, and then I'm on set one day, and then I'm done.
Wow. But that's cool that
And then
you
I
got
I
back
have 2
into
more
it.
weeks, yeah.
That's
I know,
cool
I'm
because you were in a
excited
lot of
about
stuff. You
that.
were in some fun stuff. Like I loved Renegade. I talked to Kathleen Kinmont, but as a kid, I used to love those USA Network shows,
Mhm.
and it was just
I
so good.
love Kathleen, man. We hit it
Branscombe,
off so well.
yeah, that's cool.
We used to train together, as a matter of fact, when we actually
Really?
got yeah, when I booked Renegade, she trained at the same gym as I did, and so we were doing cardio and training, and,
That's awesome.
we went to dinner with Lorenzo, and yeah, it was fun, they were great.
She
I was
was
so bummed
cool.
when they split up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I interviewed her and, she was like because my buddy sometimes is the one that reaches out to people. So she was like, "Oh, your name's Doug?" She goes, "I love that name, Doug. I just met my new boyfriend. He lived in my neighborhood, and it was the guy that was the bassist from, Crazy Town." He was, like, walking his dog, and she had her dog out, and they had met during COVID, so they, like, got together, but no, she was really cool. And it just her
That's
life, her
awesome.
mom, and pretty much being born
Mhm.
on TV, like, she was pretty nuts, but
Oh, I
those shows
know.
were so good. So one thing, was Branscombe was he still working on Gladiator when you started there, or was that after that
No,
first season?
he wasn't on set when I got the job.
Ah,
I didn't meet him until I actually went on Renegade,
okay. He's the
you
best.
know?
He was so good in the
Yeah, and
documentary,
then
he just looks the part, like, he's
yeah,
nuts looking.
I know, exactly. But that was fun.
Yeah, no, to be in those shows, then I think Ellen was pretty so, like so, obviously, you mentioned the documentary, they didn't want people to know that you were, a lesbian, which is ridiculous in any day and age, but, like, on Ellen, when you were on Ellen, that
I
was pretty
can't
wild when you really think about it, right?
I know, it's funny because Nitro and myself, Dan, being on that show together,
Yeah,
we laugh about it because, we used to always, like, just partying on the bus and everything. He's like, "Come on,
yeah.
Lori, let's make out." And we always I was like, "Get off me." You know? And so when it came time to when I actually had to kiss him, he's like, "Yes, finally." I go, "See, they had to pay me to kiss you."
Yeah, right?
But yeah, Ellen was a lot of fun. Ellen was, that was a great show. We had a lot of
Yeah,
airtime on that one,
that's what I
because
mean,
sometimes
so,
as
like, just
gladiators,
gotta
we
think
were
about
just
the whole episode was
I
that,
know, I was gonna say,
which is
sometimes we just
crazy.
walk on as a guest star and then that was it, 1 or 2 lines, but
Yep,
it was the entire show.
yeah. No, that's what's pretty crazy about the whole thing, like, how large it was, because that was a huge show, so if you didn't know American Gladiators, you knew it because of that, or other things like,
Right.
Living Color, like, Muppets, like, you were able to work with the Muppets, which is
Yeah,
probably
that was
really neat,
cool.
right?
Yeah, that was interesting because I got
Yeah.
to see how they shot it,
Oh, I know,
you
it's
know?
wild, right?
Yeah, because they had,
Yeah.
there's like almost like a fake floor type of ceiling to where all the people would be here and all the puppets were up here. It was crazy.
No, it's pretty nuts just thinking about because when you were that's like Muppets, right? That's right in your wheelhouse when you're young, so it's
Yeah, but
gotta
I
be
never even
really
watched
wild.
it
Oh, you
though.
never even watched it,
No,
okay.
I didn't watch the Muppets.
Yeah,
Yeah, that I didn't do.
but you got to work with them, which is
I
pretty
know.
cool. Yeah,
How long have you
and
had
I
your
think
podcast? Wait, let's
I've
go
been
to
doing
you
this,
for a
like,
second.
6 years-ish.
6 years? Yeah,
Yeah.
good for you.
Yeah, it's a fun
I
hobby,
kinda
you
went
know,
on hiatus a little bit.
yeah, I just love talking to people. Yeah, I yeah. I got like a sort of not saying I didn't have a real job before, but I did sales for years, but I'm an accountant now, and it's like more of like a real job. So the last 3 years it's been harder to do this and with 2
Yeah,
kids and but it's a fun thing to do. I love it, just the fact to talk to people that I grew up admiring their work and learning about how they got into it because I think that's the most fascinating thing because for the most part it's like other jobs, it's like, "Oh, yeah, you go to school for this," or maybe, "Oh, yeah, do you wanna be an
right.
account" not saying it's like that, but, like,
No,
when
you're
it
right
comes to,
though.
like, acting, it's always wild stories, like, it'll be like, "Oh, yeah, I went with my friend to the audition because she didn't wanna go alone." The lady came out and said, "Oh, are you auditioning?" And I said, no," and they said, "You should," and then
Right.
boom, and then they're in all these big movies in, like, a few years, and it's
I
always
know,
like
it's crazy.
that,
I
and I
was
think it's
never
so
that
cool.
girl.
But even yours, it's pretty you're doing this thing and it's like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, you think you'd be" or you saw Ray and you're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
man, that's her," and then you're like, "Let me find out where the audition is," you know? Sometimes even that, it's like, wow, like, to just seek out something like that you just saw,
And
it's
what's
you're a different type
wild
of person.
I was gonna say what's wild is, I mean, I think you're right because I think back on that, and who watches a television show and goes, I could do that. I wonder how I auditioned
Beyond
for
that.
that." I mean, not too many people,
Yeah.
unless you're in the industry or you wanted to be in the industry. But you're right. I just kind of like, I guess, yeah, I've kind of lived my entire life like that.
Was
Like,
was
oh, why not?
Dan
Let's try
Was
it.
Dan, would you say the one that was it seemed like he was more even just in the documentary, you obviously know him more than I from the documentary, but, like, what he was more actor first, like, he thought of this as a gateway to acting. It seemed like a lot of the other people were just like, "Oh, this is a thing that I can compete and make some money and look like,
I
sorta look good."
maybe, I guess because like Dan, Dan was obviously the same thing, playing football and then, decided to come out to LA and yeah, he kind of was, looking in the industry. And I think kind of maybe the same thing for Ray. I'm not really quite sure. I should know because it's like I
Yeah.
interviewed all of them, you know. But yeah, I just it's interesting how people get into the industry,
Yeah.
and
What were
and
some
how
things that
it
you learned
happens.
about that when you were interviewing them? What were some things that you learned that you didn't know that you were kind of or even things that were going on and you maybe didn't know about, or was there anything that caught you off guard?
No, actually, that's funny you say that because I was thinking the whole time you were asking the question, and I knew a lot, and more than anything, what was a lot of fun is I would call bullshit on him,
Yeah.
on my podcast because like Jim Star Laser, he'd be like, "Oh, Dan and I, we never fought," and I was like,
My
"What?
g Oh, dude,
Are you
that story and
kidding?"
the
Yeah,
animation of
exactly.
them beating the crap out of yeah, I know.
Right, and so I was like, "I'm calling bullshit on you,"
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
so
yeah.
there was always drama backstage, and that's really when I was interviewing, I was like, "Okay, so what was your drama?" What was
Yeah,
your drama backstage? What was your whole spiel, doing the show? Yeah, a lot of them wanted to become actors, and
yeah.
I wasn't quite there, at the time. I just wanted to compete and, have some fun and throw some girls down on the floor and, make some money.
Yeah,
And it was cool. But, the industry was the whole time back then was different, it was just everything was it was different back then. And now it's flipped so hard that I so many shows are out there and so many different ones, and
Yeah.
they don't even give them a chance to, like, make or break it. They're just like, "Oh, didn't do well, next." It's like
Yeah.
it's on for a moment or maybe, like, 3 or 4 episodes, and then it's gone, if it doesn't get the ratings. But there are so many channels now. It's like, how do
I
we
know.
keep up with everything? You know?
It's like one of those
I
things, it's so great that the gateway is better for independent filmmakers, people that
Yeah.
just wanna get into acting, like, early on. It is great for that, but then it just gets so watered down because there's just so much out there. So,
Yeah.
like, when you were on a show back in the day, like you mentioned, like, if you're on this show, then it's easier to get on other shows. That's how it was with, like, character actors. If you were a guy,
Yes.
like, it was hard to get hired, but once one person hired you, they'd be like, "Oh, I saw you on this show. Come audition at ABC, and you can get on our week of shows." Because that's what
Yes.
they would just keep trading people every year.
Absolutely. It was so
Yeah.
much easier back then, you
Yeah.
know? And it is super watered down. It's insane, and it's like, I don't even know half the shows even out there, and if Gladiators don't, like, advertise somehow, some way, nobody's gonna know it's on Prime. You know
I
what
didn't
I
even know
mean?
it
It's
was
just
coming out. And even though it's
exactly.
you said 20 when in just anytime next year, they don't have a date yet?
Sometime in spring of
Okay.
2026.
To me, that's crazy. It's something that that should be, like, advertising, like, or mention something, like a deadline article. I'm surprised I didn't see anything shared or pop up. It's such a
They did. They're like
yeah.
revamping, redoing, and it was like maybe 1 or 2 articles buried somewhere.
Yeah,
But if
yeah.
you think about it, they never really advertised that much when we were on the air.
I know, I know.
They never put money into advertising. They just sucked it dry,
Yeah.
and it did well and they got really, really lucky. I don't know how it's going to be perceived now. I mean, think about it because so many safety bullshit things. I mean, we weren't wearing helmets. You know what I
I know,
mean?
I know, I know. I know.
We
Even at
were
the end
having
of it,
fun.
when you came back and they showed, like, how the safety changed, it was like you tackled the girl, and there was, like, people with, like, big pillows or big things so you wouldn't and it was like, obviously, that's great, but it's like, it's still not
It's over the top.
enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, so in 2008, when Hulk Hogan and they rebooted the show then, they completely overproduced it. And what we mean by overproducing it is, for instance, Gina Carano, MMA fighter. She was on the joust and she hit a girl on the joust and broke the joust stick on the girl's head. They
Yeah.
cut and got her a new joust stick and said, "Do it again." That breaking the joust over the chick's head would have been amazing
Yeah.
for views. But they're
Yeah.
like, "Nope, nope." And it's like, okay, that's how they overproduced it. I remember
Yeah.
watching Layla Ali and Hulk Hogan doing the intro, which took them almost 2.5 hours to do just the intro when Mike Adamle would nail it in 15
He
minutes.
was great.
God. He
Oh
was
my
an amazing
gosh.
announcer.
Yeah. But yeah,
So,
just the fact you don't it's like when things work, it's like somebody has to, like, change it because everything was
yeah.
working, they were making money, just pay your people more and it would have kept going and going and going until you got to the point that maybe just like yeah, I know SNL's still in the year and I still love SNL, but it's like sometimes you get to the point that you can't get all the right people because with that show, it wasn't just the greatest athletes. You had to have like the charisma,
Mhm.
the talking smack to your opponents. It was like everything was in this package.
And it's
So it
not
was
gonna
like
be like that this
wrestling but
time.
real. Oh
It's gonna
no?
go
Ugh.
right back to the whole backstory of the contenders and
See?
their heartbreak, and it's gonna be like, "Ah."
Yeah,
It's like,
America's
"Come
Got
on, let's see the
Talent.
competition. Who cares what they did 20 years ago?" You
Totally.
know?
Like I used to love America's Got Talent. That was like me and my wife when we first started dating like 15 years ago. We would watch that and it'd be so much fun. And then it just got to the point, same thing. They
Mm.
used to show so many acts every episode, and then it just became this like all about the history and
Nobody
where they grew
cares.
up. And it's like, huh.
Okay, I'm so glad to hear you say that because I thought it was just me. I'm like, "I don't care."
Yeah, just give
And
me
they're like,
more
"No, let's get them
acts.
involved."
Yeah.
You know? And
Like,
that's what's gonna happen on Gladiators this, next year, guaranteed.
yeah, that's crazy.
I know.
One last thing about the documentary, because I think it was pretty fascinating, and it must have been really cool for you to watch it for the first time. the way they introduced you was really cool. It was like everybody, man, everybody wanted to be Ice. She was the best, and there was just all compliments, and it's like, wow, and obviously well deserved. But I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like each person was like, yeah, she was the because you were totally badass. Like you came in, and it was just it's sort of like different, just like because you moved more of like an athlete than, and yeah, it was cool.
Yeah,
It was
I
awesome.
wasn't the actor.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's like that different kind of thing, and just the evolution of the show, like being on
Mhm.
that. I'm sure there was probably some of the games, especially when you were doing the traveling. That must have been pretty dicey. Like the way they have to set up all those things in a new city each
It
and every
was
time, like a carnival
yeah,
circus.
it was like a carnival.
Totally, I bet. But it must've been
Yeah.
awesome. I think that alone was such a cool part of the documentary. Just the real camaraderie. It was like you guys were like a rock band, and I'm sure it was probably insanity. Like, how early on do you remember that it got crazy that when you were out in public that you were spotted?
I would say around the tour time,
Yeah?
yeah, and that's when we would go into a city and even, after the show, getting on the bus and all the fans, it was like we were rock stars,
Yeah.
and I can only imagine. And as you were talking about the tour, it's kinda like I was envisioning, like, the tour bus and, after the show, we'd all, you know, have our jackets and our bags and everything, walking on the bus and going to the next city, and hanging out in the bus for like, maybe an hour or 2, depending on how long we had to travel. We did. We all got along really well. I have to admit, there wasn't a ton of drama on the bus. On the documentary, obviously, I filmed everything that I possibly could on my camera. But
Yeah.
again, if we had phones,
Yeah,
it would have been
yeah.
a whole different
Then there would have been
story.
like, 7 angles of the same. No, I know, yeah.
Exactly.
I know, yeah.
But it was I think towards the end of the tour is when everybody started getting a little punchy and crazy, and
I'm sure.
we were done. It's like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I'm tired. Now I'm
Yeah, yeah.
tired.
It's like the end of vacation, you're like, "Okay, this is
We're
this is
done.
paradise, but,
Yeah, alright, let's
I'm
go."
over it." Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. And that's how it was at the end of the tour, but, the end of the tour was, another month to go. And
Yeah.
so, tempers started kind of flaring a little short here and there. But we made it through,
Yeah,
and
you did.
we came out the other side, and it gave us absolutely memories that are just insane.
Yeah, and then that's when everybody got that opportunity. The people who obviously watched it, but to be able to go to your local, arena and
Mhm.
see these people that you love on TV, like, that was when it was, like, at the peak, but at the same time, that's when they made terrible decisions, like
Yeah.
Goldwyn, like,
It's funny because when you were talking about Madison Square Gardens as well, yeah, I mean, we filled that arena, and I remember that
just
that
nuts.
morning, we believe it or not, we were all fighting about who got to do the joust and who got to do the assault,
Yeah.
because those were, like, the single, events to where it was the limelight was only on you. Because
Yeah.
usually we're like, "I don't want the joust, you take the joust," But that arena, we were like, "Okay, that's what we want." And I'm thinking as I'm sitting here going, "Oh my god, why am I so nervous about walking on stage on this Saturday when I competed in front of the entire Madison Square Gardens?"
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, what is happening here?
Yeah. And I'm sure there's so many people, especially then too, at some of those shows, whether it been like LA or any other major city. I'm sure you had like so many famous people that even in the documentary, the people that would stop by, like Arnold stopped by, like Kevin Costner. It's like it's because that show was like just so different. It was like the reality show. Obviously, there wasn't the behind the scenes stuff with it, but like you know what I mean. Like it was just different when you saw kind of like these not normal people, but you guys were like superheroes on TV. And it
I
was like a
know.
totally different thing that you could try to replicate, but it just never worked for anybody else.
Yeah, no, not at all. So let's see if they can do it again.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. This
Yeah,
is gonna be interesting. I
because
will be the first one in front of that television watching it, of course, and I'm
yeah,
not quite sure if I'm gonna be rooting for it or rooting against it.
yeah.
It's that
Is
bittersweet
is it
love-hate.
Americans or is it French and all
No, it is Americans.
it is, okay.
They went over to France because it was cheaper to film over there because France just got done with
Makes
their
sense.
version of Gladiators, and the set was already set up. So that's the other thing that's gonna be interesting because how different is the set going to be? I don't know.
Yeah.
And I did it's funny because I was over at a gym and a girl came up to me and said, "Oh my god, I'm one of the new American Gladiators." And I was like, "No way." I said, "This is all I wanna know. Did they name somebody Ice?" That's all I wanted to know. She goes, "No." And I was like, "Yes."
That would be the pettiest thing.
They
In,
would
like,
do
a
it.
world full of so many nicknames.
Yeah. Well, they did it in England. They used my name in
Really?
England.
See,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
It's like they're recycling the names.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is the worst business move ever. And you're absolutely right. With a world of a plethora of fucking names, why would you recycle them? There was Wolf that was recycled, there was Jet that was recycled, there was oh my god, there's Nitro, they recycled Nitro's name in
Really?
England.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's
Was England good? Was there any of the iterations? Because 'Cause I'm sure every country probably tried to do their own.
England, interesting enough, they actually did it right. They're like gods over there. And I'm not even joking. To this day, even today, they rebooted their show. They always reboot before we do. They rebooted their show like a year ago,
Okay.
and it just took off again. I mean, they're like gods over there. But think about it. England's the size of California.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, the competition isn't like what we have here in the industry that we were talking about. And then again, things change. So maybe they're not gods over there anymore like they used to be because now there are so many streaming channels. When we were doing Gladiators, they only had like 5 channels.
Oh, I know, yeah. That's what I
So that's
mean.
why
It
they
was,
were
like, such a
so
big
damn
deal.
huge.
Yeah.
But they did it right, they did it well. They had a great production. It's that's I think they're even going out on tour like we did, as a matter of fact, but they're
Really?
going in England. Yeah, they're touring
Oh.
around England.
It would just be so cool if they would just have somebody just bring you guys back, even for, like, one, just to do, like, announcing or some interviewing the guy like, something.
They would like to see all of us just disappear.
Disappear? Oh, that's
Mhm.
not nice.
But
Not cool.
I will not disappear.
I will not.
And I think I am the only one that I am in their face so hard because of the fact that with my social media and with my different pages that I have and with doing now the competition, I they're not they can't.
Yeah, yeah.
They can't make me disappear, but they would love to. They wanted me to take ice out of my social where it says Lori.ice Fetrick. Oh, you can't do that. I was like,
That's
"Really?
yeah,
Watch me."
it's insane. Hey, how was there ever a documentary ever spoken about, like, prior to the Netflix one? Was there ever anybody
That
approaching you
was
guys
yeah,
like
that was yeah, John the reason why Netflix came along is because, the creator, Johnny Ferraro, called us and said, "Hey, they're doing a documentary about me, and we would love to have you on." "Really? Nobody knows who you are. So is the documentary gonna be about you, or is it gonna be about the American Gladiators?"
yeah,
And we're like, "Okay, Johnny, so how much is it gonna pay?" "Oh, no, we're not paying you anything." "Okay, bye-bye."
I'm
You
not
know?
falling for that again, right?
Thank you,
Jesus,
exactly.
right?
We're adults now, you
Yeah,
know? And we don't owe you a damn thing, and we're
yeah,
done with you, and so that was probably the last nail in his coffin that he was so pissed off at us that we would not do his documentary.
crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh my
But,
god.
yeah, it's an interesting show process and how they're, you know, what they're doing with it, but I wouldn't take anything back. It was honestly, I wouldn't take anything back. The whole way that it happened is just the way it was supposed to happen, and it just made me stronger and tougher and more, kinda watch me kinda thing.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good way to look at it, 'cause what's it gonna change, you know?
Nothing.
Like, just
Yeah.
dwelling on it, but you had all those great memories, you built some things from it, you're continuing to build from that, so
Mhm.
and you can't let them win. That's
No.
the thing you can't do, right?
Not at all.
Have you ever been approached has there ever been, like, some other version of the show that people that's what I was thinking about in the documentary when you 4 got fired. I was thinking in my head, in a world full of, like, in wrestling, take the wrestling, like, "Oh, we're gonna make another company and then just do something different." I'm shocked that nobody tried to imitate. Well, maybe it's that roller derby thing, which is wild. I never remember the rockin' roller derby,
Yeah.
and it was like, "This is gonna be the biggest show," and you're like, "I don't know about that." Like, when
Yeah,
you watch the whole
no.
show.
Yeah, I maybe because I don't people wanted if they wanted us, they wanted ice or they wanted
Oh, and
nitro.
they couldn't do that, of course,
They couldn't
yeah.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
At that point in
Ugh.
time, it's like nobody really knew who Lori Fetrick was. It was just
Yeah,
ice, you
yeah.
know? So, it's like, taking the time and trying to rebrand yourself basically as Lori Fetrick, you know? I think the weirdest thing for me was after the documentary, I was in New York, I was walking down the street, and somebody actually called my name, they went, "Lori." Looked around, I was
Uh,
like, "Who the fuck knows me in New York?"
yeah,
And I
right?
I turned around, I said, "Hi." And they go, "I saw the documentary." And I was like, "Oh my god," So that was kinda crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. For all like, you had to
Mhm.
think, like you said, like, for all those years, it was like ice, because that's
Yes.
all they said of the names on the show, right? You guys
All
were
they said.
never mentioned by
No.
your given names or your government names, so it was
Mm-mm.
just that, and then you see the documentary, it's like, "Oh my god,
Oh my
people
god,
know
they
my
have real
name."
names.
Yeah, right?
I know, I know. That's
Ah,
cool.
do you have a favorite thing that you were able to do? Because, like you mentioned, like, obviously, you had all those, like, roles that you were able to do on shows that sometimes you're appearing as Ice. Do you have any that, you really enjoyed that you were playing a different character? Was it like playing Vixen on,
Oh, that was
Lois and
fun. When I
Clark?
yeah, whenever I could actually, play a villain or put a gun in my hand or something like that, or that was always my favorite. That was fun.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not the super tender, emotional girl next door mom, so I never got casted for those, which was totally fine.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that just, I would say Vixen was fun. Vixen was fun to
Yeah.
play, and
It
I
was such a
loved
cool show because it was such a different it was like, "Okay, let's not try the Superman that people grew up on or the Christopher Reeves." It was like this kinda, you had what's her name, who was huge at the time. She just
Mhm.
blew up right after Seinfeld,
Yep.
and the show was just huge. And it
Yeah.
was just a cool way to look at a superhero. It was more of like a rom-com with some action in it, which was really neat.
Yep.
One thing I had to ask you about, because I think it was such an interesting show, and I remember I used to stay up late to watch it, Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
You can't even ask me about that because I don't even remember barely. I
Because it probably
remember
w I think the point of that show was, I think you were probably told, "Hey, you're gonna talk to blank," and then you're talking to a cartoon maybe? I don't know. I know the show was like a switcheroo show when they used to interview people.
yeah, it was just very bizarre, like, I remember us sitting in a room, like, with just a green screen type of situation, and I had never watched Space Ghost, so I don't even know what it
Yeah.
was, and
Yeah.
so that's why I was like, "Alright, we're doing what?"
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, some of the guest starring roles a lot of them were kinda like that, you know? But yeah, I never watched Space Ghost. I don't even know what that thing was about.
Yeah, it was just he would just interview people like a talk show, but it was kind of like the I'm trying to think of other people that do that. I guess like Eric Andre, who's a comedian now, he has a show that he kind of dupes people. They'll tell
Mhm.
like big name famous people, "Hey, you're gonna be on the show," and it's just him. Like I don't know if who they tell him that they're really talking to, but they're just messing with the whole time. Probably like Borat. Like Borat, I think they used to tell people you're gonna be with this guy, and it's like he bombards you, and then it throws you off.
Yeah.
So acting wise, now that you're getting back into it after your competition on Saturday, do you have, I know you said like the lovey type of role, but do you have a role that you'd want to play besides having a gun in your hands? Is there any other type of
I
characters
come
that
on,
you'd
it's
enjoy to
no, it's
play?
always an action hero type of situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, that
We always
would be
need
my
more of
strong
those.
point.
Female led action movies are the
Yeah,
best. Give me revenge type flicks.
yeah.
Why not?
Those are the most fun to play, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
They really
Yeah.
are. But, no, we'll see. We'll see how it goes, still have an agent, still I mean, after like I said, after COVID, everything all the auditions went online, and it kinda sucked for me, and I think it sucked for a ton of actors, as a matter of fact,
Yeah.
because I did really well in the room when I
Hmm.
auditioned. And
Yeah.
now when you self tape, you're this little tiny square amongst probably 50 to 100 other people that they're looking at. And it's like they don't get any sense of personality. They don't get any sense of what you really are like in person, how you read. I think I don't know. They've got it somehow, some way they got to go back to in person. I
Yeah, I
don't
think
know.
it will.
I
I've
could be
interviewed some
crazy.
casting directors and they talk about how that is just like they can pick the greatest cast off of like the tape. Obviously the principal characters they'll bring in for like some kind of test, but like the other people that are just as important to me in film, and they'll say just like, "Oh my god, that person was such a pain in the ass." Because you like you said, you don't get the personality, or you don't get like, "Oh, I love that take by Lori. I wish she could try this."
Exactly.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's
Give
like
us a
you
little
don't have
variation.
that stuff. Yeah.
Mm, mm-mm. I
You
agree
don't
with you
get the
100%.
great interview stories like yeah, it's like, "Oh, yeah, I saw a tape and that was it." I'm sure people can obviously do over the top things in their interview. There's so many cool old school acting stories like Dan DeVito going in for Taxi and taking the script and said, "Who wrote this shit?" He threw it on the ground and walked out,
Yeah.
and that was, like, how he got it because he was Louis DePalma, like, he was legit the character. They had
Yeah.
to follow him out, and he, like, stayed in character and kept walking away, and I'm just like I always mention that because Danny DeVito is I'm in Jersey. And he's a Jersey guy, and that's just to me like the greatest story of getting a job. Like
That is so
insulting the guy
cool.
obviously adds the
Yeah.
character, and it just leads that way. But no, I hope it does go to that because you can really see cohesion in film sometimes, like newer movies or even during COVID, like those films that they were rushing out, like the lack of background actors. Like you're
Yeah.
watching a scene, you're like there's no one here, and I get it because of the time, but
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of things that should revert back, the whole process, but I don't know.
I don't
Once you
know.
let the what is it, something out of the
I know.
Pandora's box, one of those
Yep,
phrases, and
once
then
you go
it's
back, you
impossible.
can yeah, it's
Yeah,
never going
yeah, yeah,
forward. I hear you.
yeah. Lori, this has been awesome. One question I always like to ask folks, if you didn't get into like bodybuilding and the gladiators, was there a different path that you had like career-wise that you were thinking of? Was there
I would
any
have been a
specific?
chiropractor.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god. That's amazing. You're gonna be in the field that you were sending people to.
Yep, exactly. As a matter of fact, even after Gladiators, I still considered it because of the fact that you only had to go to, and get an AA 2-year degree and then go to chiropractic college for 4 years. And then in my, tiny little mind here, I'm like, "Oh, no, I'll be 40. That's way too old to become a chiropractor. I mean, nobody will come see me. That's insane." Oh my god. That's where you kinda go, hindsight's a bitch, I was just like,
Yeah,
"Ah,
yeah, yeah.
what was I thinking?" And then, I don't know, I think when I was 40, actually, I thought about it again and went, "Okay, wait, now they're requiring a 4-year degree before you go into chiropractic for 4 years." I'm like, "Fuck, I'll be 48, never mind."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But,
Amazing.
yeah,
That's interesting. That's
I'll just
funny.
well, what's interesting is that the times that we're in right now has allowed me the opportunity to basically jump on the whole thing of influencers,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've really enjoyed, the last 2, 3 years getting my socials up and, having people approach me and doing different deals and different products. And, I'm going to be working with a wellness company here real soon, about hormone replacement therapy because I'm all about that.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to be working with this company. So that's going to be kind of really cool. I worked with V Shred for like a year and a half. So it's endorsed their brand. So it's allowed me to do that.
Yeah.
But again, the only reason it's allowed me to do that is because I work so hard on getting my socials up and creating the content. Think where the other I was really surprised about the other gladiators. I was like, "Why aren't you guys doing this?" You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't know how to do it. It's just so much work. And I was like, "No, you just gotta post something that's, relevant that people wanna
Yeah.
watch." And, so I don't know why they didn't just jump on it, but man, I learned real fast. I was like, "Okay, this is what I need to do."
Yeah,
I'm not
it is
done
crazy.
yet.
It's almost like so many people, and you could see almost the way TV is shifting. It's like all these, it's like YouTube for shows. Like people are just going to watch what is called a podcast, but now it's like a talk show. Like Conan did the joke. He did an episode like a few weeks ago, and he was talking about it. He was talking about the podcast. He goes, "Yeah, they said you should do a podcast. You just be in a room with somebody. That's it. You don't have to dress up.
Yep.
Just put the headset on, you talk to him." And then he
Yeah.
goes, then the same guy a year later said, "Okay, now we're gonna put some cameras in here,
Yeah.
and you're gonna do makeup, and you're gonna do that." And he's like, "Shit, I'm just in a talk show again." It's
Yeah.
all the same thing, but it's just it's wild. Like Spotify just did a deal with Netflix. So like some Spotify shows are gonna be like the
Wow.
shows you watch on Netflix. But like you said for yourself, like it's crazy. I remember the beginnings of hearing the term like influencer. And I remember thinking like,
I know
this is
the name of it I
wild.
hate, I
Yeah,
don't
but
I
it's
don't
just
like
wild that it's like,
influencer, but
oh, X this person has 1,000,000 followers. They show some sort of they promote a brand and just the money that they get to me in the beginning, it was just crazy, but I'm like, you know, think the Super Bowl, they pay X amount of dollars for advertising and promise of getting something. So, no, it's cool that you have the opportunity to do that. Like you said, work with brands that you enjoy
right.
and trust, which is great.
Well, and there's so many platforms out there now that, everybody can get on. Certain platforms are great. TikTok did really well for me, for a
Yeah.
long time. But that was also, me doing, lip syncing and having fun and dancing and doing all the TikTok dances and shit.
Yeah.
And it just took off like that. Well, I have to admit, after a while, that gets tiring.
I'm sure, yeah.
And you start going like, okay, what can I do next? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're not really making your own content. You're just scrolling going, "Oh, I can do that one better," kind of thing. And then, the whole Instagram, Facebook, oh my God, and then shit, everybody bombards you when you're a female for OnlyFans.
Yeah,
And
I'm sure.
it's like, even that though, the platforms change. It's like, no, it's not just porn. It's not just nude.
I
You
know.
can actually go and do workouts and
Yeah.
have an actual fitness channel on OnlyFans and make money on subscriptions. And it's interesting, but that's what I'm saying. So many platforms out there that
Yeah.
that you can use to get your content out there that you can actually start making money. You
Yeah.
just have to be very creative on how you do it. You know? And the only thing is, like, when I was with V-Shred for a while, they had me exclusive to where I couldn't do any of my own workout videos or any supplement lines or anything. So, now that that's gone, now it's kinda like an open playing field, which is exciting, you
Yeah.
know? But, so I'm not quite sure where I'm going next, but I'm going
But it's gonna be
forward.
somewhere cool because in the
Yeah.
next 2 weeks, you're doing a lot of cool things. No, it's just it's cool because it opens up so many different avenues and it gives
Yeah.
people just an opportunity. So, no, again, like we talked about before, there's some things that nowadays like, ugh, but then there's some things that are really cool to be able to have that opportunity that somebody that, can just come out of nowhere, make a certain video, and it's like, "Oh my god, this is like this person now has a ton of money because of the creative thing," and it's awesome.
Well, what's cool too is I didn't realize the support base that I had. You know, I'm realizing now, especially doing this show, "Oh my god, how many people
Yeah.
are supporting me?" And it kinda, like, freaked me out the other day. I was like, "Holy crap, if something happened to me, I have to finish the show." You know? Because everybody's like, "When's your show?" You know? "You're looking amazing, you're doing this," you know? So it's like, there's so much support, and when we were doing Gladiators, we didn't have the platform, so we didn't really know, you
Yeah.
know? We knew we had
You know,
fans, but it
going
was all through the
outside and people,
letters.
yeah, you'd see, yeah, fan letters. I'm sure
Yeah.
you see people. When did you start, like, because I know, like, cons were not a thing, like, going to, like, a Comic-Con or a signing?
Comic Cons were not a thing, but yet personal appearances going to car shows were. We would do
Okay.
car shows and we would do boat shows or any kind of
Yeah.
conventions or anything to where they could hire us. But here's what's changed, obviously. Now you go to Comic Cons and they'll pay you to be there, but yet at the same time, you have to sell photos and you have to make up the money that they're paying you, right?
Yeah.
So back then it was great because they just paid us and we would sign for free. So
Yeah.
people would just line up and it was just like a line down the street, signing autographs. But now you now it's just kind of like, what, wait, it's $50 for an 8 by 10. And we don't even make the rules necessarily on that. The
Yeah.
people bringing us in do. So the Comic Cons have really changed a lot. But we were doing a lot of personal appearances, kind of like the Comic Cons, but not really.
But that would still must've been pretty cool, like, to be able to see, or even if you did one years later after the fact. I think that's the cool. I helped an actor, this guy, Larry Hankin, he was Mr. Heckles on Friends, and he was in a bunch of other stuff, but I helped him put together his memoirs. I connected to him with him doing one of these interviews, and he was 80 at the time, and he's like, "Oh, I don't wanna tell you all my good stories, I wanna write a book, and do you know anybody who can do that?" And I'm like, I think I can try to do that." So I helped him put together his book, and it
That's
was a cool
awesome.
process, but he talked about, like, that part of, even, like, oh my god, his time with the Comic Cons, he hated, because it is like that, because you're feeling, like, so much pressure to, like,
Yeah.
sell photos to
And I
be able to
hate
make
that.
up for, yeah, it shouldn't be like that. It
When
should
a little
just
kid's
be
coming up or, a parent, they're like, "Oh, we love you." And that means we can't afford your $50. Can we
yeah,
shake your
yeah.
hand?
I know.
And you feel bad. And then they're like, "Can I take a selfie?" And your handler is standing right there and they're like, because you're
Yeah.
supposed to get $20 for a selfie. I'm like, "Oh, come on, whatever." That
Yeah.
kind of thing. And everything is nickeled and dimed to death now in those Comic Cons.
Yeah.
And it just,
No, it
yeah,
ruins it.
I feel bad, but it'll be interesting because we're wondering, I'll end on this note for you. We're wondering that when the new show comes out, because all the Comic Cons are going to want the new ones, right? But
Yeah.
yet at the same time, some of the Comic Cons might want an original with them.
I would think they would have to. I don't know why they wouldn't. You don't get invited to those often?
Well, we right after the Netflix doc,
Yeah.
myself, Nitro, and Laser, we kind of we did a good circuit of the Comic Cons,
Yeah.
probably for the year after it. Yeah, but then it kind of dwindled out because the
Yeah.
show's not on,
Yeah, no, totally.
and
But it's
we
cool
don't
that
have
you were able to see
merchandise.
those people. Oh, yeah, merchandise.
Mm.
Yeah. No, that's true.
You need merchandise at a Comic Con, and we're not able
Yeah.
to sell anything.
Yeah, that's true.
God, it's just the
Yeah.
over and over repeat process.
Yeah, no, yeah, no, I lost my train of thought before, but with Larry, for him, was just at the going to this Comic-Con, because he goes to them, like, every so often. It's just, like, meeting these people that are like, "Oh, I really love your stuff," because he did, like, improv and stand-up, but that was, like, way back in the '60s and '70s. So, like, after it was just doing TV, minor stuff in front of a studio audience, but for the most part, you don't know people enjoy you.
Mhm.
Unless they tell you, or obviously the ratings could be good, but are they laughing at your joke? So
Yeah.
it's like, it's cool to be able to have that experience, even like you said, like, for that year afterwards, to be able to, like, people walk up to you, they're like, "Oh my god, I love you guys. I'm so
Yeah.
happy that this." So that must have been pretty neat.
It is
So
kinda
Lori,
cool.
this has been so cool. Last question, is this is kind of interesting. I always ask people this, so I wonder if you thought about this when you were doing Gladiators, but did you ever keep any mementos
I have
from the
them all.
show?
Oh god,
You
yeah.
really?
Oh, hell yeah.
That's
I've
awesome.
got let's see, what do I have? I have this is, like, kinda
Like,
cool. I have
awesome.
this. I have my doll.
Well, you gotta have that. That's
I've
cool.
got the lunchbox. I've
So
got
did
the
you know
video
about the
game.
doll, about the action figure? Did you know that was coming out? Did somebody go, "Hey, this is how we're gonna have it look," or were you kinda
Nope,
surprised when
nope.
yeah, okay.
If you look at the dolls, they all look the same.
Oh, yeah, in the documentary, you guys mentioned that. I
Yeah.
interviewed a guy from Star Trek, and he told me one day he played Tuvok, and he told me, one day they went into, like, the lunchroom, and they had, like, "These are what your action figures that come out next month look like," and he was like, "Oh my god, this is weird to see myself as a little
Yeah.
alien action figure."
I wish they would've, done them a little bit better, but we
Yeah,
all
oh,
do.
yeah.
It
Yeah,
is
no,
what it is.
totally. But you said they
Yeah.
were like they knew they were gonna sell, so they were just like, "Why put effort in?" Which is a
Oh, I know.
terrible way to think, but
It's
that's the
terrible, but
way the
that's how the industry
studios
that's
and
how it was, I know.
big companies.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. I
This was
appreciate
cool.
you.
Yeah.
And,
It was
yeah, I'm
cool
gonna
chatting
tell
with
your
you.
listeners to go to my socials,
Yes, I'll be
Lori.ice.fetrick.
sweet. And, yes, ice, definitely. And
Yep.
I'll put all your links in the episode notes and stuff to your
Thank you.
podcast, your website, everything. But,
Thank you,
no, this is
thank you.
cool because I dead serious. There's so many shows that I could talk to my old man about, or actors or people that I interview. I say your name, "Oh, yeah, I know that." And it's just like because it was that large, it was that big, and you see it by looking at your IMDb, and that's just yours, but each of you guys were just on so many different shows, so it was like bleeding all into it, and they had such a great funnel, and it's just a shame that they ruined it, but it's great that you have all those memories.
I know. I hear you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doug.
Alright, have a great night. Good luck on
Alright.
Saturday.
Hey, thank you.
Fingers crossed.
Go to my social and see what I look like. You
I
gotta
will,
see
I
me
will.
now.
Alright, I'm
You'll
gonna
be
check
like,
it out.
"Holy shit."
Oh, man. Have a
Alright, have
great
a good
night.
evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.